Wednesday 3.
We're in Wednesday 1.
No question in my mind.
He came from one of the toughest areas of Phoenix. Most of his friends leave, of course.
Praying for safety and
on the defense, talking about it. You better get your ass to the ball. You better get to the ball.
I just gotta say, when it comes to Dallas,
Different.
For sure, and they would have thrown it off because
This guy gets off too.
Smaller from and then I go to bed every night like G man, I promise you that What is up, Cowboys Nation? Your boy Mike Tag here with Kelly K9, fresh off the cruise, all that kind of good stuff. Working a little bit now. I'm working off the rust and getting into this Cowboys stuff some more. So definitely appreciate all the new subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe. Hit that thumbs up as you guys are entering like that video. Of course, share it with Cowboys Nation, any social media, all that stuff works well. And before I introduce Kelly to let him yap for a minute, we're almost to 4,000 subscribers. We're under 100, I think 80 left to get to 4,000. We could get to 5,000. Your boy's going to have to give up 2 of my seats. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to get to 5,000 because the schedule looks so good, but definitely appreciate all love and support. And Kelly, how you doing, my man? I know you're feeling pretty good with your Texas Tech. I've been watching you guys, Sweet 16, feeling right?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Fresh off the cruise, and we the snow finally melted, so the blizzard's over, and we got some nice weather. It's a beautiful day, about 65 degrees. Had a great trip to Wichita, Kansas. Got to see the Red Raiders win over Drake, and now we got more basketball tomorrow. It'll be the third double-digit seed that we've got. A lot of people have been saying that Tech has had an easy run to the Sweet 16 and maybe even an easy run of the. I say that's why you play to get a top seed so that you can play these bottom barrel seeds and beat them. But I'm just going to say this: the Arkansas team that we're playing tomorrow, they're no slouch. John Calipari, great coach. He's going to have that team ready to play, no doubt. It's going to be a battle, start to finish, but I like our chances. But I'm feeling great, man, ready to get this thing going. We got the fan of the month here to join the show, man. So that's always exciting. Bringing in one of the fans, Dallas Cowboys fan, diehard fan. So I'm excited, man, and it's good to have you back. It's never quite the same when I'm running the show without you, without my boy, you know what I'm saying? Like it's always a little nerve-wracking because I'm like, I thought about bringing somebody else in. And I said, no, I'll run it by myself. And then at about 5 minutes in, I'm like, what the fuck am I going to talk about for the next 55 minutes? But somehow we made it. Thanks to the chat.
It was a great show, and the feeling's mutual, man.
The chat showed up as always, man, and they did what they did, and it was great. Got things rolling, and we got it going, and it was good. But it's great to have you back.
Yeah, no, glad to be back. Glad to be hanging with you in the cave and all you guys as well. And yeah, we've got our fan of the month. It's definitely Kelly started this. Give him all the credit, all the kudos, all the love. So, once one is done, we'll be looking for another one. So, I mean, that's how quick it happens. We're going to be looking for our next fan of the month. So we'll be doing it. But we've got a great fan of the month. Now, he's got a great Twitter handle, Moose Loose Hall of Fame, HOF48. So he's got to be, right? You got to love Moose Johnson. We had Moose Johnson on the show, and nothing wrong with that. And I had the opportunity to meet him at the Jacksonville game. We were kind of sharing stories backstage. That was not the game that we always want to remember. It was a long drive home. It sucked, but definitely go be happy to have him in. But I wanted to say something real quick to you, Kelly. You were saying about easy route, and it's like our Eagles, when a few years ago when they got to the Super Bowl and it was the Giants and they played the running back had to be quarterback for the Niners. Ain't no one crying and complaining. You play who's in front of you and don't hate the player, hate the game. You guys put yourselves in those positions and apologize to nobody. That's what I
Yeah,
said.
no, I definitely don't, man. For anybody that knows the game, that's why you play for one of the top seeds, is so you can play a bottom seed. Like nobody wants to start as a bottom seed having to play the top seed. It's not the ideal way. Everybody plays. You play to win the game, and then I apologize to nobody. And like I said, man, we beat both them teams that were double digits. We beat them both by double digits. So we did what we were supposed to do and beat them soundly. And now it's time to go. I just wanted, before we run this, I wanted to give Kimmy a quick shout out. I saw Culture at Cuts, our boy Fred Jones, Cuts by Jones. So Kimmy said, Kimmy's watching Sends Her Love. Gonna be down there, hopefully to watch the Final Four in San Antonio. We're gonna be in San Antonio soon. So Kimmy, I'm looking forward to seeing you. And Cuts, I'm looking forward to eating some of that barbecue.
Man, that'd be badass if you guys get in there. That'd be awesome.
Yes, sir. Oh man, that happens. I'm telling you, it's a takeover in San Antonio. I'm gonna be going down there, flags flying and everything.
Well, we'll see what happens. We're gonna be rooting for you, but let's not waste any more time on our fan of the month, our man Josh. How are you doing, my man? What's happening?
I'm good, man. But Kelly, I got bad news if you're going down there for the Final Four, because the Gators will be playing in the Final Four, brother.
Well, we got you. We gonna see about that this next round. Y'all gotta win. We gotta win. But we meet up the next round if that happens.
Well, I'll say this, Kelly. I'm about the U, and the Gators are the one team I hate the most in anything, any sport, any whatever they do. So you'll be fine. You'll be fine. If I gotta go to Gainesville before they leave and pop a tire in that plane or the bus, whatever the hell they're gonna take, we'll do it. We'll make sure you guys.
I'll say this. I know last time that Tech made it to the national championship, they were the number 3 seed. They're the number 3 seed this year. I believe in like superstitions and kind of like things that like give you a little bit of hope that things are going to be the same, right? And then last time when they got through, they had to run through a number 1 seed in Gonzaga to get there. They had to beat a number 2 seed in Michigan State, and they ended up beating a Michigan team the round before that. So they ran through a pretty good gauntlet getting to the national championship. And obviously, with not a lot of Cinderella teams in there anymore, really none of them. They're all power conference teams. There's no easy game from here going forward. So we'll see what happens, man. But hey, if we have that happen, Josh, we'll do a little friendly bet between you and myself, man, going for Florida and Tech if we meet up in that next round.
All right, I'm in.
All right.
Well, let's welcome our man Josh. So, Josh, fan of the month. I know you got to be excited. You probably hadn't slept all night thinking about this day and being able to come in the cave. I don't blame you. I don't blame you for it. But give the people, first of all, how they can follow you, a little social media, give you a plug. Hopefully, some people start interacting with you a little bit more. You got a good background, which we're going to get into on coaching and football knowledge. So tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
Well, I mean, I'm a huge Moose Johnson fan. I don't understand why he's not in the Hall of Fame, to be honest. I don't think any fullback is in the Hall of Fame, so we might as well just get Darryl in there. So I'm a big Twitter guy. Obviously follow you guys and what you're doing, but outside of Twitter, that's about all I got. Unfortunately, as a teacher, I can't have too much social media.
Yeah, you better watch that stuff.
So just on Twitter.
No, that's awesome. And yeah, Moose Johnson, we had him on the show. Hopefully you had a chance to see that. My thing is Hall of Fame. Shit, man. Why isn't he the GM of the Cowboys? That's what I want to know.
That's right.
Yeah, he should be. His football knowledge, right, Kelly? I mean, that was probably one of the most impressive interviews we've done. Just the depth and the knowledge and the history and the memory, and then just you can see how he builds the teams and builds organizations, doing what he did in the USFL. But I mean, Kelly, that one still sticks in my head. How about you?
Oh yeah, man. It's like you said, one of the most impressive ones because of the things that he talked about. He talked about the little things, and he was talking about just like having the players dress professional and look professional. And this is in the USFL because he was integral in that part of the USFL running that basically league. So I think that I think he'd be a great GM for somebody because the guy knows what it takes to win. He's ultimate professional. And also, man, you look at Emmitt Smith. Gave that special shout out to Moose. Went out of his way, kind of teared up. You saw Moose getting teared up. Anybody that played with him on that team in the 90s has nothing but great things to say. The ultimate team guy, and I agree he should be in the Hall of Fame. It's a travesty that he's not, but maybe we can get that train rolling.
Yeah, get him in the Ring of Honor first. How about
At
that?
least the Ring of Honor. Come on, Jerry. Get him in the Ring of Honor.
So Josh, obviously, hopefully, you've been a Cowboys fan your whole life, but give us the backstory. Why are you a Cowboys fan? Give any memories, favorite players growing up. Give us your story.
So basically, my dad and my grandfather were huge Cowboys fans. My family's from about an hour south of you, Mike, in Venice, Florida, and the Bucks were horrible during that time. And my dad was a huge Roger Staubach fan, and so he kind of brought me into that. Unfortunately, post 90s, we're still here fighting for this curse to be over. As far as former players, I was a big Moose fan, big Roy Williams fan. I know he gets a lot of hate because he couldn't cover in man coverage, whatever.
He could hit.
Yes. Big Witten guy. I was a big Jay Ratliff guy until he pissed off Jerry, and he got himself traded. Current roster. I mean, I'm a Dak guy. I know guys don't like him, but I also understand who we are, and we can't have the best players all the time. So as a man, I think Dak is a solid leader for us. I'm a big Overshawn guy. I think he's the guy that can take our defense to the next level. I was a big D-Law fan until a few weeks ago. But I just think Cowboys Nation and what we do as a fandom, you can't replace it anywhere. I know we all get disappointed when January comes around, but one day it's going to change. And we'll believe it when it happens. But if in order for Moose to become the GM, somebody's going to have to sell the team, maybe.
Yeah, it'll never happen. I mean, it'll never. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's disappointing, but it's kind of the life we live. And for all you guys jumping in, we got our fan of the month. We got Josh in here. We're going to talk a lot about Cowboys. We got, a few segments we're going to do, and I think Josh is going to hang out with us. And, this is a show, Kelly and I started the Cowboys Cave. It's a place for fans to be. And we just talk football, and we share the agony and share the joy. I actually have a cameo I got to do after this show for a 30th birthday. And, they want me to tie in. That's been 30 years. Maybe this is why it's finally waited until his 30th birthday to finally get a Super Bowl. I don't know. So, I mean, we'll grasp at any straws. We'll do whatever it takes. But Josh and Kelly, looking at, it's a slow period, right? It's the combine is kind of passing, and now the draft is about a month or so away, whatever it is. So this is kind of that dead period. So you get a lot of rumors, and I'm going through, and obviously the Dak rumor we want to talk about heavy. The rumor of Dallas, possibly with who they're going to take. We'll get into that too with the top pick, or who they're looking at in the draft, who they got their eye on. But what is your guys' thoughts? Kelly, you start, and Josh, you hear this rumor with Dak Prescott. So laughable, so stupid. But is this just life as a Cowboy and Cowboys fan, and we just got to continue to be getting used to just being in the headlines for all the bullshit?
You said me first?
Yeah, go ahead, Kelly. Sorry.
I got a little distracted. I was reading the comment. No, you know what?
I thought you were getting ready to explode.
Well, first of all, I don't, I saw a few people that were kind of running with some stuff on there about that. But anybody that really knows the Cowboys, follows them, or knows anything about them, knows that trade it's not possible. Like the dead money that Dallas would have to eat, the dead money that Cleveland would have to eat because of the Deshaun Watson contract, the no trade clause. Like there's just so much going on in there that makes absolutely zero sense. It makes it really an unworkable deal. So, I mean, I just don't really give it any credence or breathe any life into it, man, because I feel like that, it's just bullshit. You know what I mean? I don't know. I saw a tweet from, I think it was, maybe it was Hellman. Somebody had said that they checked into the guy and that the guy is a legit guy and he's not out there trolling for clicks, but his sources may be completely, I think the sources are huffing paint. So he may have heard this from him and then they threw that out there. But I mean, I think there's zero life to it. In no world would that trade work. If it was any other team but Cleveland, maybe I might believe it, because I mean, crazier things have happened. Dak could maybe waive his trade clause. It just doesn't seem like that's something that's going to happen at this point. Nor would it be a smart move really at this point by the Cowboys, because unless you're trading up to like one of those top picks and getting a number 1 pick from one of the top round pick teams and going with a young quarterback, then what the hell would you trade Dak Prescott for? Because you're just
now, if you're getting Cam Ward, I may overlook it. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I might overlook it.
Well, I mean, look, here's the thing. If I like Dak. I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't like Dak. But if the team was to go out and there was a trade for him, and then this year they decided that they're going to go out and get Cam Ward, and I mean, honestly, even a Shedeur Sanders, I'm not a big fan of the guy. I don't really know how he's gonna fare in the NFL. But at least I'd be like, well, at least I know that, hey, the Cowboys got a plan. We're going to probably be pretty shitty this year, but they're building for the future and they have a plan for the future. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be one of them guys banging my head against the brick wall, because at this point, even with the roster that we currently have, even with a good draft, I don't really see the Cowboys being super competitive this year. Unfortunately, I feel like we're still kind of right where we were last year. I feel like even with the moves that they made in the offseason so far, I feel like we're right now probably a little bit worse, honestly, because we don't have a number 2 wide receiver. So
let the draft happen.
As far as that trade, no dice on that.
Well, Josh, what do you think? And I don't know. Are you a cat person? You got people in here saying you look like a cat person.
That's just an old buddy. He's
I know. I figured someone's giving you shit. So
I mean,
what's up? You're a Dak fan. So I am a Dak fan as far as when you're wearing the star, man. That's the way it is. But I will say the interesting thing is it took me a lot of years before I invested into a Dak jersey. Now, that doesn't mean I like him any less or whatever, but I'm not as entrenched in him as I know some others are. But you're a Dak fan. So as a Dak fan, what have you seen from him? And is there a point where you're like, maybe, at some point they're going to have to move on? You're getting the same results, or, I mean, what's your overall thoughts on Dak Prescott as the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys?
So that's a great question, because I get that all the time. And of course I get a lot of hate for being a Dak fan, but we're Cowboys fans, so I get it. First off, I think we can't just have any player. Kelly, you know that. I mean, we got to have certain players to play for Jerry. I think Dak handles that well. But if we're talking about the field, as far as what's on game day, if our standard is a Super Bowl and that's our standard, what we want, then you're limited to like 1 or 2 guys in the league, right? Like there's so many guys that get to January and they phase out. I believe personally that Kellen Moore hurt Dak, and I know that the Eagles won the Super Bowl and I get all that, but from a coaching scheme, you go to the Niners game when we played them at San Francisco, we're down. We got 3 minutes left, 3 timeouts and a 2-minute warning, and we run all hitches, all goes, and it's 3rd and long. Yeah. Like, I just don't see us putting him into an environment to where he can fully succeed in those big moments. Yes, he's going to throw a pick 6, but how many times have we seen that outside of CD, our receivers can't run routes to get open? And I'm also watching other teams have guys wide open. And so I think some of that all comes together. As one, I'm hoping that Shoddy can open some things up for him. But as far as Dak leading the Cowboys, we have other problems than if everything's on Dak, there's other things that need to be addressed. We haven't stopped the run since 1995. I just think that there's so many more things that get put on his back. And then because he's the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, the buck's going to stop at him. He recognizes that. I would like to see some more leadership in the aspect of shutting down some of these guys that say crazy stuff. I think, Mike, you made a good point on your video earlier this week. In the Packers game when CD was over there upset, wish he went over there and handled it. We know Troy would have handled it. We've seen him handle it. I hope that comes. But I will also say that I don't know how many quarterbacks in the league are handling it like that. I mean, you can look at Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. Yeah. I don't know if Josh shut that down, but it got Diggs out of the building. So I just think he's who our quarterback is, and whoever our quarterback is, I'm gonna fight for. I loved Quincy Carter. Quincy Carter loves some things that got you kicked out of the league. So I just think that, it's getting to a point. So, Kelly, your point, if we do – Cleveland's not happening. Cleveland's a dumpster fire in itself. And the guy actually said that's why Myles Garrett's staying. No, it's not. He's staying because he got paid a lot of money. That's why he's going with the Browns, not because of this rumor. I think that someone's got to give me a plan, like something that actually would work for us to have a different quarterback. And when I see a lot of fans say, just get rid of Dak, okay, then for who? Because we can't just get anyone. We're not going to be bad enough to be in the top 5. We're going to be around that 10 to 25 draft pick, and it's going to make us limited. And if we're going to go young, then it's a rebuild, like you said, Kelly. And I'm not against that, but it doesn't seem what Dallas is doing right now is going towards that rebuild yet. If that was the case, Parsons would be gone.
And I would say, and you. I don't know how old you are, but you remember the Super Bowls and you're a fan of Moose, so you got to at least be in my vicinity of age and Kelly's. When I hear rebuild, I kind of like that's old school to me. I don't think there's such thing as rebuild anymore. I mean, look at Washington. Was that a rebuild? It was 1 year you get a rookie, you get a guy that's a stud, and he goes. I mean, the same thing you could say with the Cowboys when when Romo got hurt, everyone thought that season was going to be a disaster. Romo comes in not when Romo gets hurt, Dak comes in as a rookie, and he ends up, taking his job and going in. The quarterbacks today are so much more advanced. Like they're ahead of their time on is from the college game because it's just so much more wide open. So I guess where I'm going, if you were going to draft a quarterback, you're not getting Cam, you're not getting Shador unless Shador falls, which some things are saying he does. Who is a quarterback in the draft that you'd say, all right, this guy is someone we may want to look at? This is a guy that you might get. I'm hearing Quinn Ewers. I like the kid from Syracuse. I mean, Josh, what do you think of Kelly? Is there a quarterback that you're looking at in this draft? Because he's 10 plus years in, Dak. Now, at some point, aren't we got to get like a young quarterback to at least start taking some shots and see if you end up with a Brady, see if you end up with a young Dak. So you see, you know what I mean? So what's your thought?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, my philosophy on quarterback is I want you to be the reason why your college football team was good. If you look back to Mahomes at Texas Tech, Kelly, he was the reason why Tech was on the map. We can go down a long list of quarterbacks that are successful today in the NFL. I mean, LSU needed a quarterback, finally got Burrow, and that's worked out. Josh Allen at Wyoming, you kind of go down the list. But in this year's draft, I like the kid out of Syracuse. I like Quinn Ewers. Again, another scenario where he's probably the reason why Texas is pretty good.
Yeah.
Jackson Dart, maybe, but I don't know if we run the offense for Dart. Cam Ward, I like. He's been successful everywhere. Living near CU here, I don't know about Shador. I think he would need a lot around him.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that at all. Kelly, what's your thoughts on quarterbacks and kind of into the draft and what you prefer?
Yeah, I also like Kyle McCord out of Syracuse. I like him. He's a guy that we talked about him a little bit, and I also kind of like the kid from Oregon, Dylan Gabriel. I like him as well. I think he's a guy that you could probably end up getting in third or fourth. But the thing with these quarterbacks though is that I'm sitting there thinking if the Cowboys, I think the Cowboys should draft a quarterback this year, and I think they should do it probably no later than the fourth. I know they don't have a fourth round pick, but I think they can trade a couple of those compensation picks that they got in the fifth that they could probably trade back up into the fourth, or trade into the fourth, I should say, and get a quarterback. But the thing with that is that, I thought several of the quarterbacks that got drafted last year were second round guys, J.J. McCarthy being one of them that ended up going in the, top, 12. I mean, they all those quarterbacks, there was just a complete run on them. And I think part of that, the reason why, though, is to what you were saying earlier, and I know we've talked about it before on the show, is that, a lot of these quarterbacks are coming out and they're way more ready to run these pro-style offenses just because you're seeing the college game start to kind of go that route into where they're running these pro style offenses, where before, you used to get, colleges like Nebraska running like the wishbone, and you get the triple option offense. And you don't see a lot of that anymore. You see these offenses that are running traditional NFL style offenses. So when these quarterbacks get into the league, they're more ready to go. I mean, I don't think a lot of people really thought that Drake May was going to come out and have the early success that he was going to have in New England. Bo Nix with the Denver Broncos. You're just seeing these quarterbacks come out and have that immediate success and be able to transition this NFL game a lot easier than what you used to see 10 years ago. So the thing is, some of these quarterbacks that I'm thinking, probably be a third round guy, maybe we can get him in the fourth, might end up getting it in late first, maybe going in the second. Some of them might even jump up into the first. I've actually heard people talking about Jackson Dart is actually one of them that somebody said that he'd be slide up into the first round. And so
Jane Slater, I don't know if it's a Texas bias thing, but she was saying Quinn Ewers being the second. Which
that's the thing, is that teams are putting a premium on these quarterbacks, and they're becoming less and less gun shy to snag these guys. If they got a guy on their board that they like, they're going to take him, and they don't really care what anybody thinks. And so far, I would say it's worked out for a lot of these guys. I mean, obviously some of the very top pick last year didn't have the greatest showing in Caleb Williams, but what a lot of people say, that's the offensive line. I say that's bullshit. I didn't like Caleb Williams. I still don't like Caleb Williams. It's an NFL quarterback. There's just something up here that I just don't like about him. But I think the Cowboys absolutely need to draft a quarterback this year, just because it's time, man. I mean, Dak Prescott's getting older. Injuries are starting to pile up with him, and you can't ignore that. If you do, you're going to end up getting left in the dirt. You're going to be like the New York Giants having to sign a guy like Russell Wilson. I mean, look at the New York Giants. I mean, they got so down bad on quarterbacks that they paid Daniel Jones $40 million a year. And now they're going to pay Russell Wilson, $20-some million to be their quarterback for this year. So quarterbacks is definitely a premium position. So if the Cowboys got a guy on their board they want, snag his ass.
Kelly, I think that's a good point. And to go into your point, I think we're close to being the Pittsburgh Steelers if we don't have Dak. You know what I'm saying? If Dak didn't sign that contract, day one of the season because of our awesome GM, how much money would the Steelers pay him right now? And so we have a guy, but I'm with you, Kelly. We've got to have someone behind him with Cooper Rush with the Ravens.
Yeah.
We just don't have anybody.
Yeah. No, you do. I tell you what we do have. I don't know if it's because of Josh, but we got a super chat. So we got to show some love to our guy, Chris. Kelly, my eyes are bad. I don't know if you can see it.
Gotcha, man. It says, evening, boys. I'm really curious how our D performs this season with D-Law hightailing it to Seattle. This is now Micah's squad to see what he does. Man.
Kelly, you want to take that? Josh, you want to give your thoughts on the defense?
I'd say it's Micah's team right now, and they've made several additions on the defensive side of the ball, whether we like those positions or not. I'd say my favorite would have to be Fowler. That's my favorite addition that we've got. I think we actually got a legit pass rusher on the other side of Michael Parsons for the first time in quite a while, actually, just because Marcus Lawrence has more been a run stopper and creating pressure, but he's not a sack guy. He hasn't had double-digit sacks in, I think, 5 or 6 years. It's been a while. So I like that addition. But, I'm looking forward to seeing what Eberflus can do with this defense. I mean, he's a linebacker kind of guy. They grabbed a couple of linebackers. They grabbed the kid from from Chicago, I think, that is the kid that I think that a lot of people are looking forward to and thinking that he can be developed into something and that Eberflus can get the most out of him. So I'm looking forward to it. What the thing that still concerns me the most about this defense is the interior of the defensive line. I still think their defensive tackles are weak, very, very, very weak, and that concerns me because I don't think we have a really good run stopper. We got Osa, but he excels more at the pass rush than he does run stop. I think they need a guy on opposite side of Osa, to assist there, and Mozzie's not the guy, and I'm definitely not pumping my fist for Solomon Thomas out of New York, so still think D tackle is an issue, and I think that needs to be addressed, which I don't know that you get a guy that's going to shore that up in the draft. I mean, I've been I've been saying it, continue to say it. He's still unsigned, Calais Campbell. I think you can get him for cheap. He was great last year, graded out as one of the best run-stopping defensive tackle in the NFL. Out of 219 graded defensive tackles, he was number one against the run. So I don't know why they don't get him. Miami signed him to a $2 million deal 1 year. I would absolutely 1,000%. I'd even give him $3 million. Come out here because he would instantly, even at 38 years old, be our best run-stopping defensive tackle across that line. But, I mean, what the hell do I know? I'm not a GM.
No doubt. Josh, what are you thinking on the defense? And I'll just add maybe to just get a little more color to it. So you saw the free agent signings, not splashy, huge names, but I didn't think they would. But they at least addressed the positions that I had some concern with. So I got to give them at least credit for that. And I always said we just need some blue collar guys in here. You've got enough superstars. We need some football dogs in here. So what's your thoughts on the free agent signings that they made on defense? Do you see this defense being better? What's your overall thoughts?
So I think we have to keep in mind that Overshawn's not going to be back right away. So I think that's why you saw those linebackers. I think Kenneth Murray Jr. out of Tennessee is going to be able to help us. I mean, he had over 100 some tackles. So did that kid out of Chicago. So I think they can fill in until he gets back. I'm with Kelly. Until we fix the nose tackle position, those guys behind him, those linebackers can't run and play. And, Diggy Zua is a stud, and I like him. I'm with you, Kelly. He's not a run stopper. Mozzie has been disappointing. I know there's times he shows some things, but there's also a bunch of film with him getting driven back into the linebackers. And running the 4-2-5, 4-3 that Eberflus wants to run, we can't have that. And so I think it puts a lot of pressure on the inside linebackers. And inside linebackers has kind of been a thing we've been hurting. I know we had Van Der Esch, but he got hurt. I mean, you go back and Sean Lee, I mean, who have we had demand the middle of our field without injury since Sean? And I think Overshawn's that guy, but unfortunately he's a little injury prone right now.
Yeah.
I think Fowler's going to be a good addition. I still think in the draft we've got to address or through free agency. I like Calais Campbell as well, but until they do that, I just don't think – I think our linebacker coach that's coming in is a stud. He was in Tampa for a while coaching those guys up. So I think he can get us going, but I just don't see us – I think you build your team to win your division, and our division right now, especially in Philly, is running the ball. And until we stop that, we're going to have to put up 50 on offense.
Yeah, and that's not a recipe. That's not a recipe for success. I mean, hopefully they're listening because, I mean, we've been preaching about run defense for I don't know how many years now. So it seems like it's been, like you said, jokingly, but you might be right. It might have been about 30 years. But I think Parcells, we might have been all right. So, but it's been a hell of a long time. And, so that leads you to kind of the draft. And, do you want to get in the trenches guys in the draft and focus on that? Or do you want some playmakers? I mean, I'm going to just say I need playmakers. I mean, this team is starving on offense for playmakers. I mean, you got CeeDee Lamb and you really don't have anything else. What do you see the Cowboys doing at the 12th pick? Running back is the hot topic, right? They signed, Williams, and they got Sanders, who's been injured for a little bit. So I don't think either one of those are the answer. Maybe they could help. But if Genty's there, I mean, is he too good to pass up? Hampton is climbing up the charts. And if you like Hampton more than Genty, then shit, take him. I don't think you get in the mindset of, I can't take that guy at 12. It's too much of a premium. I think at the first pick, you take the guy you want and F everything else and worry about it later. But what's your thoughts on what the Cowboys will do at the 12th pick? Rumors are flying about offensive line. I know I probably shouldn't say. I would go ballistic if they go offensive line with the 12th pick. I'll be so pissed. What do you think, Josh, and then Kelly, finish it up with yours?
I think in the 10 to 15 area, you kind of have to take what's best available. We'll see how the draft unfolds in front of us. I'm against running back, and this is why. You got that fifth-year option coming from the first round, right? So you're going to have to pay him. Or you run into a situation like Buffalo's in with James Cook. Like he wasn't a first-round draft pick, and they're deciding on whether they want to pay him or not. I would rather pay a receiver or an offensive lineman that fifth-year big money contract coming out of their first contract to me for this draft, I think you got to go receiver. I think we don't have anybody to take the load off of CD, and there's going to be enough running backs in the draft, whether you got that kid out of Tennessee, North Carolina, Ohio State, you go down the list of who you want, just to jump on the first running back that's available. Plus, I don't think Shoddy's going to make us an offense where it's driven by handing the ball off 40 times a game. I don't think that's us. I think you got to go receiver if it's there. If not, I like Jalen Walker out of Georgia. I think he can come in and play for us right now. Offensive tackle, I know I told you guys before the show, I think I would like that because I don't know what we're going to do with Terrence Steele. And he was a problem last year, and if someone can come in and solidify that, then I'm all for it. Obviously, having the best offensive line in the league helps, but I'm going receiver if I'm at 12. I don't really care which one. Just pick one.
Yeah.
Kelly, what's your thoughts on that first pick? Are you in the trenches, or you need a playmaker? And when I mean playmaker, could be a cornerback, could be a pass rusher. I don't want him drafting a guard with the 12th pick. I just would.
Nah, I mean, I'm still sticking with wide receiver in the first, going wide receiver 12. They need a number 2, unless they're going to address that in free agency and they're going to go grab a guy. I mean, they there's still some guys out there. I mean, Keenan Allen had a little bit of a down season last year in Chicago, but he's still a wide receiver that I like. He's still a talented guy that I think could be a good number 2. But unless they address that in free agency, I think that wide receiver is the route that they're gonna go with that 12th pick. You're gonna need a guy that can come in and be an impact player regardless, though. So I've kind of stuck by it. I said no matter who they get, it's gonna have to be a guy that makes plays. So whether that's at the wide receiver spot, at the running back spot, if it's a defensive tackle, I don't think that they're going to go that route because I don't think there's a guy at 12 that's really going to come in and do that. But whoever they grab needs to be able to come in and be an impact player from day one. We look at last year, Tyler Guyton came in, and not to throw the white flag on Guyton and say that he's not going to develop into something nice, but Tyler Guyton was a raw prospect, that they talked about it, said he was raw, he was going to need to develop. And we saw it. I mean, they threw him to the Wolves and had him starting at one of the hardest positions to play at left tackle on that offensive line. And he didn't do so great. And they, and they ended up having to pull him and have somebody else play in that spot. So, you want a guy that's going to come in there and be an impact starter from day one, because that's what we need if we want to be any good. So,
yeah. No, if it were me, you got a super chat there you want to get, Kelly?
I was just pinning it so I didn't lose it. Go ahead. Finish.
Oh, no, go ahead.
It just said our free agent signings are pushes, running backs are push, guards not as good as what we have. Wide receiver is a number 5 wide receiver. The linebacker is solid. I would have paid Jay Allen $20 million and get Puna. Yeah, then they're both them guys have signed contracts at this point, so they're all gone now. But yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I know one thing: if the Cowboys don't draft a running back with all them running backs out there this year, I'm gonna go up to AT&T Stadium and kick that fucking door in and find Jerry myself.
No, I don't blame. And I was gonna say on receiver, what concerns me at receiver is, I think you've got about 4 or 5 guys that are really could be special, and when I mean special, could be impact guys right away. And then I think you got a little bit of a drop off, and not that they're not going to be good the drop off guys, but so I think with running back, man, you could go into that 4th, 5th round, and I think there's just some guys there. I mean, there's some ballers. I mean, this is probably one of the best running back draft classes I've seen. So that's why I would go more. I even went DB. I think Ultra's in there with a cornerback. I even was like maybe cornerback at 12 because you're thinking about, Diggs, you don't know. Bland, obviously you're going to pay him. And then you lost J. Lou, and, you got some uncertainty. You got Elam that you picked up. But, I mean, he's, you don't know what you're going to get with him. He's been disappointing so far early on in his career. So I was even like looking at cornerback as an option. But, again, every drafting you do, but usually receivers tend to fall sometimes. But if you don't draft a receiver first, you kind of start sliding down the options of what could work. So I'm with you guys as far as receiver being a priority. One thing I want to ask is, and this is near and dear to my heart because it involves the U, but the combine, and you get the 40 times, and you get this, and you get that. And obviously, I'm going to talk about Xavier Restrepo. He runs a 4.8, and he gets killed, and now all his draft stock is dropped. I've seen this guy play for 4 years. I've seen him go against top competition. I've seen him always open and always catching the ball. Do you think sometimes maybe it's the fans more than the scouts, but maybe everyone in general get too caught up in what a guy runs in shorts and shoes? You know, what's your thoughts, Kelly, on the whole 40 times? And I mean, is game film more important than what the guy's running?
I definitely do think that people get a little bit too caught up in that, because we talked about it and when they were having that combine, and I've said before, man, like, you can look at some of these guys and just, if you're a scout, I don't think the combine should really change where you think a guy should go because of the combine and how great he worked out. Look at the tape. So Look at the tape and let me know what that kid did. Watch what he did in college. Watch what he did consistently, because you can, if you flip on the game tape, you can watch some of these guys. I mean, think about how many times that they've talked about, you know, a guy whose motor is this guy's got a motor, nonstop motor. He's always going. And then when they talk about a guy who's like, you know what, his effort wasn't always quite there. I mean, what was one of the big criticisms about Mozzie Smith was that he had freak athleticism, you know, and his combine numbers just jumped off the chart. Remember that I think it was the bench press that he did more than anybody else, you know, and it was all the numbers were just great. But one of the main criticisms of him was, you know, they're like, does this guy, you know, does he really have the heart and the passion to play 100% all the time? Because it looks like at times he took plays off. It looks like sometimes his technique wasn't where it should be, when other times he looked flawless. But so it's the consistency wasn't there. You know what I mean? And I feel like that as an NFL scout or anybody that's watched these guys, just trust your eyes and trust the tape versus paying too much attention to what happens in the NFL combine.
Yeah. Josh, what you think? You're a football coach. I mean, you know, do you get caught up in the numbers? Is, you know, because I've seen a lot of GMs get fired for getting those 4.2 guys. I mean, that was the Raiders' way for so many years in the 90s and 2000s. And I have a laundry list of them that never panned out to nothing.
I think Randy Gregory is a good example of what we're looking for at the moment. But I think from a coaching aspect, and I've got a friend, I call him Uncle Tim. He's like your guy, Uncle Cheech. He's a big Patriots guy, and he's in it like we are, deep into the roster talk. It's got to fit what you're trying to do. I mean, we as fans get caught up in the sexiness of a pick. If they don't fit our defense or fit our offense, then it doesn't really matter what they did at the combine. It doesn't matter. I think it goes back to film, like Kelly's saying. And I think Jadeveon Clowney is a prime example. Jadeveon Clowney is a defensive end. He got drafted by the Texans, who run a 3-4. So he became a linebacker. And he didn't play well until they put him down with his hand in the dirt. So we can get caught up on the sexiest picks of who we want, but does it fit what we're trying to do? And when you look at the teams that are building good rosters, you look at Gibbs for the Lions. No one was drafting him in top 15. But Ben Johnson said, I'm going to use him. He's the guy for our offense. So he took him. And so I think for us as fans, the combine, whatever, who's going to fit into what we're trying to do as on defense and offense is what makes sense to me, not what Todd McShay thinks.
Yeah. No. Or my man Mel Kiper. I hit that rant with him and the Colts guy. That was probably that was one of my favorite all-time moments in draft day history. That's why I missed the draft. Was like that, man. You'd watch it all weekend. It was like, man, it was awesome. But looking at the draft prospects and what fits the Cowboys. If you're looking, you know, what do you want to see the Cowboys address? Kelly, I think you and I both said you need 3 starters with the first 3 picks. What are the 3 positions of impact? What do you want to see him taken?
So if I had my choice, I would say wide receiver. And then you could flip it on the next two, honestly, I'd go either running back or defensive back. One of those three positions. They went one of those, and honestly, you could possibly even throw in linebacker there. I know we got those two younger guys, but I wouldn't even be against drafting a linebacker to pair up with Overshown when he is healthy. A kid that could come in there and be a stud, and you develop, and then you have a guy like Overshown and a good young rookie linebacker. I know we got Maurice Leofau, not giving up on him just yet. He had some struggles a little bit, though, last year. Came on a little bit towards the end, obviously. See what Eberflus can do with him. That's a guy that I think a lot of people forget about, linebacker. But I personally would like to see it to be wide receiver and then a flip between defensive back and running back in that second or third round. I don't want to wait too long for the running backs. I know people have talked about how deep they are, but you also want to get a guy that comes – I'm not against double dipping at that running back position. I know that they grabbed two running backs, but I'm not pinning my ears back with either one of them dudes.
No. And I'd say, Josh, with you, the one thing I'd add, and maybe to get your opinion on it, is are you comfortable with the edge rushers that we have, right? They picked up Fowler. Obviously, you got Parsons. Nealon's coming back. They picked up a couple other guys, in free agency. And are you comfortable with edge, or is that a spot that you'd want to get early? But what are your three positions of need that you really want to see the Cowboys address early to make you be able to sleep a little better at night?
GM and owner, can we draft them? I think receivers we've got to find somebody. I mean, I think if you're building your team to win your division, the Eagles have two receivers. With Debo going to Washington, they have two receivers. We're not really worried about the Giants. But if we can't get past them and to score enough points, then it doesn't really matter. I think as a defensive line, we need numbers. We need depth. We need as many players we can run in. You look at the Eagles last year. I mean, they were running guys in and off all the time to give guys breaks. If we're going to go into the year, I mean, what was it? Week 3, we lost Parsons, Lawrence, Nealand, Sam Williams. We lost everybody.
I forgot about Sam Williams. You got him back too.
Yeah, so I think we had some depth there.
Yeah.
I think as far as defensive tackle, I'm with Kelly. If we're clearly not addressing it in free agency. There's going to be some guys we can get in there and rotate in. I think in the second round you got to go running back, if not the third. I still think that if Jalen Walker's on the board at 12, you got to take him. That dude wreaks havoc, and he plays in a 4-2-5, 4-3 defense at Georgia. He's been a stud, and I think you can plug him in and stop having Micah play 8 positions at one time. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't be mad at that. I mean, he's a playmaker. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. I'm comfortable with the, with the edge. I mean, I am. I'm comfortable with the D tackles are concerned. Secondary to me, if there's something on this team that is outside receiver that you say, man, Mike, what are you worried most about? It's our secondary. And I don't know about Diggs, man. That last year was just the whole thing. It was an odd year, just kind of the way he was, the interaction he had with that reporter and the stuff he was doing in social media. He was like a thin skin, like getting a little sensitive reading the. And then I'm seeing, his brother's been in a few spots. So, and I'm a Diggs fan, man. I love Diggs, but I don't know, man. I'm not. I think. The Cowboys, I don't want to say they made a mistake that year with Ramsey and Zeke, and it's like, who do you get? Who's the premium, the cornerback or the running back? So I'm leaning almost like, man, if a top cornerback's at 12, man, do you pull the trigger and solidify because do you guys think cornerback is probably one of our biggest concerns on the defense outside of defensive tackle, or no?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, I think you got some guys in there like Wanye Thomas. I don't know if he's just a special teams guy or bust, but one thing that I'm hoping for, and again, this might be coming out of left field, but I love Zach Martin, and I think he's one of the best players to ever play for us. But when you read what he said in his retirement thing, that his favorite year was 2014, and D. Law, a leader of the defense, was saying – basically a lot of the same stuff. I can't imagine the pressure on Micah and Trayvon Diggs trying to lead when those guys maybe haven't got past 2014. And so maybe we're going to see a resurgence in the leadership out of those guys because it's their time to shine. I do think I worry about last year. Bland came on late because he was hurt. Diggs got hurt. We lost Jay Lou. If we could get another stud safety in there, Mike, I think it could change a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah. And the safety, I don't know. I mean, even the safeties, I mean, Wanye, I like. I mean, we've got, we got Marquise Bell, right? They got him. Is Hooker still on the team? Are they all still on the team? I don't even know. Is Hooker and is he still on the team? Okay. So yeah.
I like Marquise Bell, but if he plays middle linebacker one more time, I'm turning off the TV.
I better not. No, but I just think that secondary. Kelly, how you feel about the secondary? Can you make me feel better, or do we have a right to be concerned?
I mean,
you talk about the receivers.
There's definitely some concern there, but I think that they've got some young guys that they're looking to possibly develop and maybe have them fill some of those roles. I think that, and we'll know from the draft how they approach the draft and what they do there with how they feel about that. But I mean, you look at a guy. There's some defensive backs out there. I mean, I know that there's a lot of it. I don't necessarily, and I've mentioned it too, but there is some defensive backs that are out there that the Cowboys could probably easily afford with the money that they've got here in free agency. And that's the other thing too. The Cowboys got some money out there, though. They still got some money to spend. And I understand that they're wanting to get this Parsons deal done, but the Parsons deal frees up extra money. That frees up more money. It doesn't create less cap space. It creates more cap space. So Cowboys are out there with money to spend still. I don't think that they're done making moves. I kind of think that maybe they're waiting until after the draft, see how some of these young guys fill in the rest of the roster, and then go out and fill the rest of the holes via free agency and make some of those picks. But I'm just hoping that some of these guys that are out there, aren't scooped up between now and then. But typically through those first few weeks of free agency, that's when all the signings happen. Now you've got a lot of those guys that are just kind of sitting out there, waiting to be signed. And I feel like a lot of those guys probably will still be sitting there after the draft. So that's just kind of where that goes. But I think that the Cowboys have some young guys that they're looking to fill those roles in the secondary. And I don't feel horrible about it, but I mean, Diggs is one of those guys that definitely is starting to concern me. I mean, two lower leg injuries, for a guy that, for guys that utilize their speed and quick movement, that does scare me a little bit with Diggs. I mean, especially when you're paying him the money. And then right now there's people that have talked about it, that the Cowboys can actually end up saving money if they end up coming off Diggs before, I think it's a post June 1 cut. They'd save like $10 million. I don't think that they're going to do it, but you're talking about a guy coming off from an injury, and a lot of those guys that are coming off those lower leg injuries, those knee injuries, he's not going to come out and be the Diggs that we're expecting him to be right away. It takes him a little bit to get back to that playing, back to that level. So that's got to concern you a little bit.
Well, let me ask you guys just off topic, because I tweeted it. It was in the news a few days ago, but I'd be remiss to ask you guys, because you're our generation. You guys in the chat, there's some. Hopefully there's more in this generation. Dion Sanders and Asante Samuel. So Asante Samuel had to put up his numbers and said that he was better than Dion Sanders. Both of them at Florida State. There's got to be some issues there. It's a Florida State thing, I guess. But I almost fell off my chair. Are you being serious? And then he's putting up the numbers, and if you watch Dion Sanders play, it's not even close. And Asante Samuel was a great cornerback. I take nothing against, nothing away from him. But do you guys have any thoughts on? I mean, Dion Sanders is what I would call the Michael Jordan of that position. And what I mean by that is there's still players today that if you say who you want to be like, I want to be like Prime Time. You know what I mean? They do the high step. He's the one that they all look up to still to this day. So did you guys have any thoughts? I apologize if I missed any tweets you guys did about it, but Kelly, any thoughts on that little beef that we got with them too?
Yeah, I didn't actually tweet anything on that just because I didn't want to waste my time on it. I mean, I don't think that I just don't. Some things you don't want to breathe life into. That's one of them. I think Dion Sanders is not only the best defensive back to ever play the game, I think he's probably one of the best athletes to ever play the game. Like, just one of the most talented people. I mean, think about how many times that we've had people come on here and we've asked them, guys from the 90s, players from the 90s, and they talk about how Dion was just a freak. They're like, Dion was on another level when it comes to guys that played that game. So Asante Samuel was like, you didn't play both ways. You didn't play receiver. You didn't play D-back. You didn't, you did like you're. I mean, and if we're just talking defensive back, again, still Dion wins that thing going away. I don't think anybody believes that except for Asante Samuels, really.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being confident in yourself, right, Josh? I mean, you want to be confident, but you got to be real too. I mean, Dion, it was at just another level.
I would assume Asante Samuel made his game look like Dion. So if it wasn't for Dion, Asante wouldn't have been Asante.
Yeah.
And if Asante's bringing it up, then the case is closed. Dion doesn't have to say anything.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
I don't think Dion has said anything, has he?
He said something. And he was kind about it, but he just kind of brushed it off.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of several years back when LeVar Ball said that he was better than Michael Jordan. It's that same type of argument right there. It's just somebody saying something to get themselves out there and have people talking about it. But other than that, that's all.
But I think the bigger point, and to you, Josh, what we talked about, I think we talked about it on the air, maybe we did before the air too, is sometimes people, and I get aggravated because it's on Facebook all the time, they just throw stats up. Like, all right, Troy Aikman versus, Lamar Jackson or whoever it is. They just throw the stats up, and I'm just throwing names out there. And they just look at the numbers. And I've never been a fan of comparing eras, but I'm definitely not a fan of comparing numbers without any context behind it. And to your point, what I'm bringing in to you, Josh, is you look at a guy like Moose Johnson. Does his numbers give him any credence that he would be a Hall of Famer if you're just looking at stats? Of course not. But when you look at what he meant to that team and he meant to his football team on the field, in the locker room, what he meant to Emmitt Smith being the all-time leading rusher, what he meant to that offensive line, what he meant to the quarterback and protection, he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, they made the fullback position a Pro Bowl position for Moose Johnston, right? I mean, that's what they did that. So don't get caught up in the numbers so much, right, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. There's no Emmitt without Moose, and I understand there's been some good fullbacks that have come after Moose, but if it wasn't for Moose, there wouldn't be the other guys they want to throw around. I definitely think Dion changed the game, and Dion's actually the guy who's mad that the Hall of Fame's getting watered down because you're putting guys in there that didn't change the game.
Yeah.
And so I'm with you, Mike. I mean, if stats were everything, then Dak would be in the Hall of Fame, right? That's for you, Kelly.
I mean, and you would look at it. That's why I would make the argument, they talk about Eli Manning. And is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer? To me, he's not, because I watched him play. Now, he had a couple good runs, and and they won the Super Bowl on the defense. Yeah. If not, they go ahead and put Trent Dilfer and Joe Flacco in the Hall of Fame too. I always use what's his name? Who's got 2 Super Bowls? I've said his name a million times, and I forget about it for some stupid reason. He's got 2 Super Bowls, and he's not in the Hall of Fame because he's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. Eli Manning was a 500 quarterback. He had so many interceptions, so many years. I mean, it just was his teams. He had a lot of teams that were losing records and yada, yada, yada. I mean, he was good, but he's not a Hall of Fame. I mean, Hall of Fame is supposed to be the elite guys that dominated their era. Would you guys think that Eli Manning is top 5 in his era? I don't even think he's top 10 in his era.
Nope.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you can't be that in your era, how are you going to be a Hall of Famer?
I don't know. And also, though, you gotta look at the. And this is not insulting anybody. I'm not sitting here trying to claim to be any better than anybody else, but you got to look at like a lot of the average fans' actual football knowledge. Like, I mean, I have I got Eagles fans that come to me and tell me that Troy Aikman was carried and that he was a mid-tier, mediocre quarterback. I mean, when somebody says that, I just got to walk away, man. I mean, like, you don't know what you're talking about. You can talk to any dude that played on that team in the 90s that said if Troy Aikman was not the quarterback, they don't win 3 Super Bowls. There was nothing about that dude being carried. I mean, yes, did they have some great teams? Of course. But it takes great teams to win Super Bowls. When you look at guys that got carried, you can look at like a Rex Grossman that got his way in the Super Bowl with the Chicago Bears. You know, got his way. That's getting carried because that Bears defense was ridiculously good. You know, you could say that about Trent Dilfer with that 2000 Ravens defense that was allowing like, I think something like 12 points a game or something ridiculous like that. You know, but there's a lot of people out there. There really is. And I have conversations with just regular guys at the bar that, you know, you can just tell the people that really like, that know the game, watch the game, understand the game. And then you can tell the casual fans that have no absolutely idea what they're talking about. And they just regurgitate the stupid line, you know, some of these lines that you hear from, you know, Stephen A. Smith, First Take, you know, the dumbasses on Fox Sports, you know, the Nacho and them other guys. Like, it's just, there's a lot of it that's just lack of intelligence. Guys that just don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
No,
So
I'm trying to find a clip for you. Go ahead, Josh.
Let me bring this full circle then. So if we're talking about it, no matter who we got, there's obviously some special guys that can carry a team regardless, and we know who those guys are, especially at the quarterback position. Then that means our problem in Dallas does not start or stop at the quarterback position because we have not built a roster around our guy that can get it done. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Because
don't know.
Dak didn't play defense against the Packers.
I know, but he didn't play well in the beginning either. I know. I'm not saying it's all his fault. I'm saying that there's been teams to me that have been Super Bowl caliber teams that failed in the playoffs. And I will go back to one game, and I was there. The San Francisco against Jimmy Garoppolo at home, played like shit. And there is no reason you lose that game against Jimmy Garoppolo, who played terrible too. And I know San Francisco was a good defense, but I'm just saying is they've had some teams that should have done better.
Definitely gotten further. Maybe not won a Super Bowl, but definitely gotten further. I would say in terms of that, I would say that team and what was it? Because there was the one year, and I get those mixed up because we played them in back-to-back. There was the one year when was it Pollard that went down?
Yeah, that was the second year.
Okay, there was that one, and we rushed for like maybe 50 yards. It was terrible. But the one that I'm thinking of is when Dak threw 2 interceptions, and we ended up losing that game by, I think, 6 points, the 19-12 game. That game right there where he threw 2 picks, if you don't turn the ball over those 2 times, I think we win that game. I thought that team was capable of going much further than they did. And I would say, if I had to look back, I'd say 2 more times that I think the Cowboys in 2014, I think that team was one that I think probably could have and should have, if not for a couple of. But you know, it's not just about necessarily the talent, because I think that there has been a few rosters over the past few years. I think 2007, 2014, and what is that? I guess it'd be 2021. I think those rosters were good enough to advance at least to the NFC Championship game. I'm not going to say Super Bowl, but I'd say to the NFC Championship game, where they just didn't get it done, and it was either because there was some poor play, by whether it be Dak or even go back and maybe even say in some of the games, Romo 2007, I think had a couple of shit plays in there. But then there's those bad luck plays, and the Cowboys just seem to be that they have that black cat that just hovers over them. Because how much bad luck can one team have? Because you talk about that Dez Bryant catch, you talk about the DeMarco Murray fumble in that game, you talk about Patrick Creighton dropping that pass over the middle when he's wide open on that 3rd down. And if he catches that pass, he's probably still running today, like Forrest Gump into the tunnel at the Alabama game. I mean, it's they've just had so much bad luck. Tony Romo fumbling the snap in Seattle. Just time after time after time that you've seen this Cowboys team either not be able to rise to the occasion or they just have complete shit luck. And I again, you can point it to a dozen different things, people, but the quick thing is to point the finger at the quarterback. That's what, that seems like the most popular thing to do.
Is.
And I'm not going to absolve Dak Prescott. I think that there has been some times where he definitely has not played to his capabilities and has definitely had his share in terms of us losing. But I'd say that this Cowboys team, man, they've had some rosters that I think that could have won the Super Bowl. I really do. I really believe that. I just think that it's been because of a few bad plays. And that's why I say, this is a game of inches, man. And it's,
hard to win.
It's a play here and there. You can point to coaching, you can point to schemes, you can point to the quarterback, you can point to this, but I mean, winning is hard, and winning in the postseason for the Cowboys is damn near impossible right now.
Yeah, it don't matter who's playing for us.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't, because I say this all the time, man. You look at Romo's career and you look at Dak Prescott's career. I swear, it's like looking in a mirror. Because a lot of the same things that affected Romo in the playoffs have absolutely come back, and they've affected, Romo through some untimely interceptions. Dak Prescott has thrown some untimely interceptions. You look at some of the bad luck plays that they've had in the playoffs, and just the way that their careers, and now the injuries for Dak Prescott starting to kind of pile up later in his career as he gets older. And it's just one of those things where like, how much bad luck can one team have before they eventually get over the hump, man? And, I remember that being at the Detroit game year before last, thinking that when they got Jimmy Johnson into the Ring of Honor, that the curse was finally over. And apparently the football god said, not so fast, my friend.
No. Well, we have a super chat. I've been digging to find this. This is probably one of my favorite comments. I don't know. See if it comes off. I've just got it on my phone, but this was the greatest response about Troy Aikman. So Mark had put something. Aikman only had one 1-to-1 TD to interception ratio, which not necessarily true. It was horrible. 3,000 yard, year, considering the talent we had around him, makes you scratch your head. And that's where the problem comes in with some people. And you're looking at numbers. And we had one of his teammates on. And this is kind of, let's see if I caught it at the right point.
In that huddle, I was on those teams, and I saw exactly what he did. And that dude's Hall of Famer, first ballot like he should have been. Yeah. And, everyone else can go fuck themselves is really what I think.
So that, I believe that. And you talk about Troy Aikman, and, people put in those, it's very convenient. You could do it with something. They put in 89 when he was the quarterback. The worst team probably in Cowboys history, and the amount of interceptions, the beatings he took. And 90, go look at 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, and then watch the talent just disappear that they did. He was the leader of the team in the locker room. He was the leader on the field. He had all those guys, like Gogan, that's a great interview with Gogan. He talks about it. All those guys, Michael Irvins and the Alvin Harpers and the Charles Haley's and Emmett, all these guys, these characters in there. And he was the true leader. I mean, he kept that whole circus together, whether out partying, he was staying back in the room, studying a film and getting everything together for this team. So Troy Aikman, that's a Hall of Famer, and to me, and he won, and he played big in big games. Go look at his playoff stats. Go look at his playoff record. The dude won big in big games.
And the other thing, Mike, that I say when people talk about that is that and they say and they start the whole Aikman thing is the guys that vote on the Hall of Fame, the guys that put him in the Hall of Fame, these dudes know football. Yeah, they know football. They're not idiots. There's a reason why he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. They're not putting a mid-tier quarterback into the Hall of Fame. They're not. You can't look into the Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and point out one of them quarterbacks and try to make an argument and say that's a mid-tier quarterback. Absolutely not. The stat and stats in a way really have kind of ruined the way that people look at the game because everybody looks at the numbers now. You know what I mean? And that's all they look at. I mean, and I'm not trying to get too far off subject here, but and not to stir anybody up in the chat, but it's the same thing with the LeBron and the Michael Jordan thing. Like, well, look at how many points LeBron has. He's got this many. Look at how many assists he's got. I don't have to look at shit. I just got to watch Michael Jordan play in the finals. I got to watch that. Watch that he never lost in the finals. Watch that every time he got there, he won. Watch the fact that Troy Aikman, every time he got to the Super Bowl, he won. And there's a reason why. Like he was the ultimate competitor. Watch the videos of Troy Aikman storming that sideline, going up and down the sideline, getting on these dudes' ass because shitty play was not acceptable to somebody who came out there every Sunday and played like a champion. Those are the things that stats can't quantify. And people that look at the stats and that's all they're hung up on is the numbers. Like, you can't sit there and look at just the numbers to quantify how great a player is or the greatness of a player. Troy Aikman was absolutely the leader of that team, the heartbeat and the soul of that team. And you cannot convince me that another quarterback could have come on that team and won like Troy Aikman did. Nobody will ever convince me otherwise. They ran a different style of offense than most did, running the ball with Emmett. But when Troy Aikman needed to pass, he was deadly accurate. I mean, if you watch the profile, his Hall of Fame profile, they talk about his accuracy. And many of the players that he played with on the defensive side talked about the deadly accuracy of Troy Aikman and that when he threw a pass, it was on the money.
Yeah. And I mean, the game was different. 3,000 yards was a big deal in the 80s and 90s. Dan Marino, I remember when he got 4,000, was like unbelievable. I mean, that was like unheard of in that era. So it's just different era. And no, Mark, I know you're a big Cowboys fan. I know it's just people get caught up in the numbers, but definitely appreciate it. You started a good conversation with us. So definitely appreciate it, Mark, for at least getting that going. But Josh, you have any final thoughts on that? And then we'll,
I also think Troy Aikman was getting rocked. I mean, he's not protected like the quarterbacks are now. I mean, What, he lead the league in concussions?
Yeah, probably.
Different era. He's getting hit.
Well, that's why I used to tell people, go watch anyone who wants to go watch Joe Montana against the New York Giants in, I think it was the 87 divisional round, whatever it was, or 86 it might have been, and go look at the hit that they did on Joe Montana. No flag, no nothing. Knocked him out. Looked like he was dead. I thought they killed him. And I mean, it was just that was the game then. And I'm not saying it's right. It's probably safer now, and a lot of those guys are paying the price for the way it was before. But it was definitely, that's why I don't compare eras, man. It's just not even worth even having that conversation. But definitely appreciate all the love. We got like almost 500 of you guys hanging out in the cave, hanging out with Kelly and I. We got Josh here, the fan of the week. Happy that he's been able to hang with us. We've had some great conversations and a lot of good talk. And so want to put a bow on this thing. And I'm an optimistic guy. I mean, I don't go in any season we're going to stink. That's just not the way it is. In 1989, I would have convinced you we're going undefeated if you would let me talk to you. I don't know if it would have worked, but I would have tried. But looking at the Cowboys, let's just kind of go. We got to go into the draft. So obviously we have that. We got a training camp. But how do you feel about this season so far? You've lost some guys. You've picked up some guys. You changed the coaches. The coaches, you got a lot of new guys in there, fresh faces, fresh eyes, all that kind of stuff. Jerry's been really quiet. I haven't heard shit from him. I mean, it seems like a very quiet off season. So, Kelly, we'll start with you, and then we'll let our fan of the month and our special guests get the last word in. But how are you feeling today? You still got the draft, but today, how are you feeling about your Cowboys?
Well, right now I feel like that they have probably a little bit worse than they were last year at the same time. The fact that we don't have a run-stopping defensive tackle right now, nobody that we can really hang our hat on to help stop that run. The fact that we no longer right now, as of this point, have a number 2 wide receiver. The guy that we're looking at right now, currently, if today was a start, would be Jalen Tolbert. And confidence that he's the number 2. Running back, I don't think we have anybody. No, Rico Dowdle wasn't really anything special last year. I like But the thing is with Williams from Denver, I think he's more of a goal line guy, short yardage. I definitely don't think he's a guy that you're going to be able to trot out and get the number of carries that Rico Dowdle had. I think if you were to do that, I think you'd be worse. So I still think we're lacking at the running back position. I just think all around right now, currently, this team is worse. And if they rolled out the carpet right now, started the season today, I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of about an 8-win team. I think that there's still room for improvement because you have the draft. You can get some of these playmakers. There's still some free agents out there. The Cowboys still got money to spend. And, I mean, they don't save themselves anything by keeping this money. I mean, it's not like they can pocket that money. This is cap money. You either spend it. You can't really roll it in the next. It's not something you're going to be able to roll into the next year. You have to spend a certain percentage of it. So I think there's still moves that can be made. I think that we can be better. I think that we can be competitive. But if I look at it right now, I don't see this as being a playoff team as currently constructed at the moment right now.
So we're going to save it for after the draft. We're going to get your next response. We'll see how you feel. But Josh, looking at today, where the direction you see in the Cowboys and what they've done and where they're at, where are you as a fan going into this season?
Well, I'm happy we did something in free agency. It's something. I'm with Kelly. If we don't get a number 2 receiver, I don't see how we can put enough points up. And again, we haven't addressed the defensive tackle position. I know Diggy Zua can do his thing, but we've got to find either a replacement for Mozzie or only have Mozzie on the field 30 to 40% of the time. I just don't think he can get it done. I guess for me, regardless of what we do in the draft or if we continue to figure out some things in free agency, it's going to come down to the schedule. I think with a new coach and new coordinators, I think that it's going to take some while to get going. I'd rather play some teams like the Raiders or the Panthers early just because they're going to get going as well, I think, late. If we roll out against KC, Detroit, and some other guys like that, I mean, we could be behind the 8 ball pretty fast.
Yeah.
So I just think that the schedule is going to be important to us. Plus, I want to see where the Broncos land on the schedule to see you guys out here.
Yeah. Only time I won't go if it's in December. You won't see me there.
Come on. Yeah. And I have to do this before. So my man Cut sent me this.
Oh, you already got it. You get it before you
nice. I was about to say we got to get your address before we get off here.
So for you guys that don't know, I've taught in special education for about 13 years. I teach an autism classroom, committed my whole career to it. So anytime there's a father in somebody's life is huge, let alone kids with disabilities. So Cuts is a great dude for being there for Kimmy. And I had Kimmy sign the front of it for me, little autograph session. So
nice.
We'll hang it up. But I got the Cuts. It'll be on the wall.
Look at that. You get it before you even came on the show. That's what we do. That's what our sponsor, Cuts by Jones, and you see the beautiful work that he does. We all have it everywhere. I saw a beautiful post. Someone, I think it was Mooney, put on with I think it might have been Mooney, or maybe it was one of those guys, one of the guys that we hang out with. He had like 5 or 6 different cuts. So if you guys are looking for anything special, definitely look up Cuts by Jones because he does phenomenal work. He's the Picasso of Cowboys Nation. You understand? So as Jimmy D always says, give him credit for saying that. But Josh, it was honestly a lot of fun having you on. Kelly, you did this segment and it's been a home run. And it's hard to say that we top it each week. But both, Mike was great and you have been phenomenal. And your knowledge and love to maybe get you back on here again. Once we get going, we're doing our draft show. So maybe you should be one of those guys that we're doing our mock draft. You got to get one of those picks and come in there for sure. We'll make it happen. But any other final words or anything you want to say to Cowboys Nation? You've done a great job on camera. Some of these guys are afraid to come on camera. You came on camera. You did a great job.
I appreciate you guys. I love following you. I love getting around fans that, Kelly, you made a great point earlier that there's just people that just read the hottest take, like the take we got today on the Browns. But, just being around people that understand the game, and we're in it no matter what. And I hope one day we can all celebrate to something bigger than a January playoff exit.
Yeah. No.
No doubt. That part.
We're long overdue in our
Yes.
30th year, and I'm sick of hearing about it. It's like the joke. People feel sorry for me now. They're like, oh, you're a Cowboy fan, man. I feel for you. That's not the way it's supposed to be. We're supposed to get in fights over it. You're not supposed to show pity on me. You're supposed to talk shit so I can go back at you. I don't understand it. I miss the days when Kelly was yelling at everybody. Now they're feeling sorry for him. I miss them.
Yeah. Well, trust me, I'm still young as some Eagles fans. I'm not backing down off that.
That's right.
So, but hey, guys, we've had a great time. If you guys have not hit that subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and definitely share it with Cowboys Nation. You got 487 of you guys hanging with us tonight, man. Means a lot. We love it. It is the best time outside of football. March Madness. We have the Cowboys Cave, tournament. I think I'm in last place. I think I'm already out of it. Kelly, I don't know. Do you have an update of what we're looking at? Our top 5. It's a winner-take-all tournament here.
Yeah. I can actually look at that right now. Let's see. We can give a quick update right quick. I don't think I'm in the top 5, which is crazy. I'm 7th right now. So we got Steve in first place. Josh like this because he's got the Gators winning it all. We got Heath Darrington, my boy, Texas Tech fan right here. He's in number 2. He's got Tech winning it all. We got Rick in third. Well, we got 3 people tied for second. But Rick, he's got Florida winning it all. We got Stephen Mack, our boy Stephen Mack. He's got Duke winning it all. And then we've got Jada Harmon. She's got Houston winning it all. That's our top 5 right now. We do have Joshua. That's our 8 right here for tied. Also here for he's got the Gators, and then we got myself right there trailing up the back there.
We should have given a toilet bowl award for last place. I think I might actually have a shot at that, the way things are going. But we'll see. I think I had Auburn winning. So I don't know if we'll see. We'll see what happens.
You still got a shot. I still got a shot.
You're saying there's a chance, but
so you're saying there's a chance.
But hey, guys, thank you again. Josh, it was a lot of fun. And Kelly, obviously we both had a great time. We're looking for the next fan of the month. So as quickly as we're booting Josh out of, we got to find somebody else for the next month. And I think next month is almost draft time, so it should be a lot of fun. Because it'll probably be the eve before the draft is when we have the next fan of the month. So all you got to do, Kelly, let them know since this is your gig.
Yeah, man. Just if you guys are on Twitter, which I feel like most of you are, I feel like a good 95% of everybody on here is on Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, just make sure you're following myself, Mike. I'll be putting out the tweet actually the first week of April. I'll put out that tweet. So the first, probably April 1st, I'll put that tweet out there for fan of the month. And all you got to do is just be a subscriber. A lot of you guys I know are subscribers, but I usually have them drop a screenshot showing that you're a subscriber in the comments, retweet it, like it. And then, we'll do a random drawing that I'll keep that up for a week, do a random drawing, pick the fan of the month. And then I will get with you and let we'll find out a day that works for you typically, but it'll be towards the back end of the month so that we can kind of roll it right into the next one. And it just kind of seems to work that way. But yeah, man, it's been great so far, man. We've had 2 great guests and now we're looking for the 3rd one. And you guys got to continue to keep this up, man, because we've set this bar pretty high. We got some high standards here. We had Mike from the UK and we had Josh come in here and knock it out the park. So this is a lot of fun and being able to, chop it up with, and meet and get to know some of you guys better than just, on an app, and be able to see you face to face and talk some good football. So yeah, appreciate you coming in here, Josh. It was a great time and definitely brought some good insight. And thanks for everybody turning up in the chat as always, man, and supporting the channel. Like Mike says, like, subscribe, hit that bell. 4,000 subscribers, man. We're getting close to that number. We got to get it. We're gonna make the push for it. And then we're trying to give away tickets, Cowboys tickets. That's what you're here for. You're here for Dallas Cowboys talk. Why not get you some Dallas Cowboys tickets? Tell your friends. Tell everybody. Go run and tell your coworkers. If you know a Cowboys fan, tell them they should subscribe to the channel and get a chance to win themselves some tickets or use some tickets. But great time as always, man. Looking forward to the NFL draft coming up, man. Good times ahead, and hopefully this Cowboys team continues to improve and get better and give us something to look forward to.
Yep, we're going to save the tape and get your post-draft feeling on the Cowboys afterwards. But, guys, appreciate it. Thank you so much. We will see you. If not next week, we'll see you sooner. Check out the different videos we drop every now and then. Sometimes you might get a Texas Tech victory video from Kelly, possibly when they head to the Elite Eight. So we'll see you guys. I appreciate it. Take care, Josh. Thanks again.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.